Hello guys, this is Olayeni Dieko Daniels, and welcome to another episode of Dieko Talks Law. On today's episode, we will be talking about the law of torts, particularly the tort of battery. But before we move into the class, today's class is going to be the definition section. Before we move into the class, if this is your first time of coming to my channel, then I want to say a very big welcome to my channel. Please make sure that you click the subscribe button and also make sure that you click the notification bell so that anytime I release a video of this nature, which is going to be of interest to you, you'll be one of the first set of people to watch that particular video. And also, if you are on LinkedIn, please make sure that you follow me on LinkedIn at Olayeni Dieko. Thank you very much. Now it's time to go straight to our lecture. But before I go into the notes, my notes where I'll be discussing the tort of battery, first of all, what is battery? Do you understand? Let me give you the first experience I had when we were talking about the tort of battery. I was interning in a particular firm, and a client entered the firm, and then, you know, when a client entered, what you are supposed to do as an intern, which I was a student, year 2, I hadn't even done the tort of batteries, to sit down, listen to what the client is saying, take notes, and then, you know, whatever your principal tells you to do, you do it and all that. So when the person was saying that the person was attacked by his neighbor in the shop, he's a big man, he was attacked by his neighbor in the shop and all that, and then my principal was telling him, oh, you are going to sue under the tort of battery. In my head I was like, what's only battery? What is battery again? Oh my god, what is I was very confused, because, you know, I hadn't done battery then. It was later year 3 and all that, because, you know, if you're not a law student, you know, and you hear battery for the first time, in your head you're like, do you understand? So it was so confusing. But then when I started learning torts, and then I started understanding, okay, this is what they call battery, then you know, it gave me a more a perspective as to it. So when you're talking about battery under the law of torts, which is the opposite of criminal law, don't worry, when I teach criminal law, battery and assault, you would understand. The tort of battery and assault is different from the crime of battery and assault. They are like, they switch places. But let us not go into that fully. Let us just talk about battery as in this class. So, you know, when I was learning battery, I then realized that when someone slaps you, when someone does something, in fact, when we were children in secondary school, we did a lot of battery on each other. You know, when someone just finished barbing hair and the head is so smooth and they just keep tapping it, pow, pow, that is battery. Do you understand? That is suable, but because we are kids, I mean, nobody cares. But as adults, nobody can just come to me and then slap, chairman. There are 2 ways to solve it. I can either treat it and change it for you, but if I want to maintain the you know, big man in me, I then go to court. But court, the justice there is too slow. You know, I can just change it for you, but at least you get the perspective of what battery is about. So let us go straight to my notes, where we begin to speak all the grammar in relation to battery. Now, according to C.F. Padfield, battery is applying force, however slight, to the person of another hostily or against his will. Do you understand that? Now, battery is the intentional application of force to another person, according to Gilbert Codiline, which is the textbook that I recommend for learning tort. Codiline and S.A. Malemi on tort. If you want to do more research, you can get Jolowicz on torts. Now, in view of the above definition, it may be explained that battery is the application of force, however slight, to another person. Battery is the application of force on a person without his consent and without legal justification. It is the contact with another person. Battery is the slightest touch of a person. It is any undesirable contact. At least for now, we've been able to establish that when you're talking about battery, there must be a contact. The undesirability of the contact is not the element. The element should be the intentionality of the contact. Do you understand that? There has been a contact between A and B. Whether or not the contact is desirous or not is not the question here. The question is whether or not the contact was intentional, because battery is an intentional tort. The fact that it's intentional is an element to be proven in your case. You won't establish a case of battery and win that case without proving, number 1, that there was a contact, and number 2, that that contact was intentional. However, undesirable is not a relevant fact to be admitted, you can admit the desirability or undesirability of that particular contact in relation to the damages. If it was so undesirable that it caused you shame in the public, if it was so undesirable that you were admitted in the hospital, those are the things that you prove when you are proving damages. They are not things that you prove when you are proving the element. The elements, like we have seen now, number 1, contact. Number 2, intentionality. Let's go to the notes. Now, thus, the slightest, merest, or the least touching of a person is battery. It is the use of unlawful force on another person without his consent. Accordingly, it is the unlawful application of force to another person regardless of its degree. It is any act of the defendant which intentionally causes some physical contact with the person of the plaintiff without the plaintiff's consent. It includes striking or touching a person in a rude, angry, revengeful, or insolent manner. The touch must be hostile and the person must not have consented to it. It is battery to intentionally touch another person or to bring any object in contact with the other person. Such contact is sufficient application of force to give right to a claim in battery. Battery includes the application of heat, light, force, gas, odor, or any substance or thing whatever, if applied in such a degree as to impact the person, cause any injury or personal discomfort. Now, with what we have seen, what I've been explaining so far, however slight that touch is. Now, let us leave the intentionality of the touch. Let us leave it one side. So people will say, now just knock now. Why you can't they talk? It's just a little bit of, why are you complaining? A little bit of is enough to be battery. That is the law. Even if it is just tom. And also there's something that we've realized. The last sentence in my note tells you that even if it's heat, if it's gas, you expose the person to gas, if it's something that must have caused the person discomfort, and then there is an interference, the physical interference is necessary. This is what differentiates battery from any other tort. For example, nuisance. Nuisance, noise. Noise is not a physical interference, but you are disturbing me. Do you understand? My next door neighbor is playing very loud music, and I'm like, "Kilon baby now, what is wrong with you? Lost student, need money lati kawe." Do you understand? That means that what's wrong with this person? I'm a lost student, I need to read. Now, that is nuisance. That is not battery. Because there is no physical interference. No, she has not come to touch me physically. She has not come to shout at me and all those kind of things. Do you understand? So that's what differentiates battery from other. We have the rule in Ryland and Fletcher. We have other torts which we are going to be discussing comprehensively in subsequent sets of classes. But this particular class, we are talking about the touch, battery, intentionality. But in relation to the touch, however slight that particular touch is, will amount to battery. Even if it's I carry drop of water, just that pure water, when it's dropping, I just carried one tom on your body, that's battery. Although it might, that's why I told you that whether or not it is unpleasant or whatever is not something to be adduced in court. What is to be adduced? Did I know that I was going to do that? Yes. Was there a contact? Yes. I've proven battery. Do you understand that? This is at the early stage of learning battery. These are things that you need to learn. Now let us go back to my note. Now, what is the purpose of the law of battery? The purpose of the law of battery is to protect the body of persons and its dignity from unlawful contact and violence by another person. The harm which the law seeks to protect is the undesirable contact by another person, irrelevant of whether such contact was violent or not, which is what I've been telling you. It's not whether or not it's violent or whether or not it's undesirable. No, the question is whether or not there is a contact. Under law, everyone is entitled to be free from any intentional, negligent, or undesirable physical contact. And then I gave you certain cases, which I would advise you to please download the Precious Case app. All these cases, you will find them on the Precious Case app. They are well detailed. The summary is there. The full judgment is there, depending on whichever you want to get. Do you understand that? Download the Precious Case app and kindly make sure that you read through all the cases. But I gave you certain cases to read. I gave you the case of DELE GIWA versus IGP. I gave you the case of MOGAJI versus Board of Customs and Excise. I gave you the case of FAGAN versus NPC. Also the case of KENLIN versus GARDINER and LYNSEY versus HOLLOWAY. These are cases that when you read the full one, the full case, they will give you a concise meaning when it comes to the law of battery. Now, to continue with the notes, I told you that contact is necessary. Battery is committed if there is some contact, such as body to body contact, or if the defendant brings some object or thing into contact with the victim, however slight the degree of contact, force or impact on the body of the victim. Thus, it does not matter whether the battery was inflicted directly on the body of the offended or through the medium of some weapon, instrument, vehicle, or anything used, controlled, or manipulated by the tortfeasor. Tortfeasor is the person who commits a tort. A tortfeasor is a person upon which the tort has been committed. As a general rule, medical procedure or medical care is not battery, even when it is carried out without the consent of the patient, because even though there is battery, the intention is to act in the best interest of the patient and there is no intention to harm the patient. The least touch or contact is sufficient for battery, though one may only obtain nominal damages for such contract. Where application is forceful, there is battery. Now, this is what I'm telling you. Nominal damages is okay, you pour water for your body. Let us give you 50k. You know, just take 50k. But when you want to prove that you want to collect 5 million naira in damages, when you are strong money, that's when you start proving that, oh, it was very unpleasant, he came into my shop, he beat me, I was embarrassed. Not just that, I went to the hospital, I had to treat myself. My lord, I have not used my leg to walk since the day he beat me. Nah, lie you. He just want to collect money. But I don't use my head to work since the day he beat me up. My lord, my spinal cord. That's why you now bring medical doctor. My spinal cord has broken. Nah, lie you. Person will still go club. If you understand what I'm saying. But all those things, they are not relevant when you are proving battery. There are two things that are relevant: contact and intention. But you prove all those things when you want to collect money from the court for the act of the defendant. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we move on. However, where an application of force is lawfully justified, a claim of battery will fail. Contact may be direct, body to body contact, such as slapping or giving a person a fist blow, grabbing hold of a person by the neck, beating up a person with hands, or by kicking with feet. Also, the contacts may be indirect, like I already told you. Now, lastly, in our class, we'll be talking about the example of battery. Now, battery can be committed in any of these instances. That's by beating with a stick, pouring water on the person, or shooting a person with a gun. Number 2, kicking a person down or running a person down with a motor vehicle. Number 3, spitting on the person's face or throwing a stone at the person, as we could see in the case of R versus LYNSEY. Number 4, removing a chair from under a person who thereby fell on the ground. Now, in this number 4, you can see that the contact there is very indirect, and you might say, I had not touched you, what concern me and you? I just removed the chair and then you fell down. Did I intentionally remove the chair? Yes. Although the contact was not direct, but still my action has affected you directly. Do you understand? My action affected you directly, although the contact was indirect. It is still battery. Do you understand that? And then we go to the 5th one: setting a dog to attack another person, as we can see in the case of LAWAL, the DSP. This is another example of indirect battery, where he did not bite the person, he did not chase the person himself, but he set a dog to do that, and that is also battery. Now, there is battery, for instance, where C, without lawful justification, slap D on the face or pushes D. So also, it is battery to cut a person's hair without his consent, or to wrongfully take a person's fingerprint. However, where a person has been detained, charged, or told that he will be charged with an offense punishable with imprisonment, the fingerprint may be taken without consent under criminal law. I think with this, to a particular extent, we've at least understood what battery is. You know that it's not necessary there is a beating. You know that it could be direct or indirect. You know that the slightest touch will amount to battery. Do you understand? It's not necessary that it's a glass boost. Just a palm is battery. Like little is battery. Just, and then it need not be direct, which means I can use my car to hit you. I didn't touch you. Did I touch you? No. But I use my car to hit you. The example we also give where you remove chair from someone's bottom when the person is about to sit. That is also battery, although indirect. but it's still battery. Now, these are instances of battery. While we are discussing each of the cases, when I'm talking about the elements of battery and other things in relation to battery, you know, when we are discussing each of the cases, I'll be pointing it out to you. Okay, you see, I was talking about this, that is it. I was talking about that, that is it. But for now, what you need to understand is the definition, and I've given you the definition by Padfield. I've given you the definition by Gilbert Kodeline. You can also read Esse Malemi on Tort. I personally recommend it, especially for Nigerian law, and also, you know, Kodeline on Tort. Very, very good when it comes to, you know, issues of this nature, battery. So with this, I will see you in my next class, where I'll be talking about the elements of battery. From the element, and we move further, then little by little we take it step by step. Before you know, you're an expert in the law of battery, you're an expert in assault, and ultimately very soon you become an expert in torts generally. So with this, make sure that you click the subscribe button, make sure that you click the notification bell, make sure that you also like the video. Do you understand that? And lastly, also make sure that you follow me on LinkedIn. Olayeni Dear Kolola is my name on LinkedIn. Make sure you follow me, and I will see you in my next class. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.